Chapter 6 Energy, Temperature, and Heat. Section 6.6 The Global Heat Balance. The figure I'm about to show you describes the amounts of annual net shortwave and net longwave radiation for the Earth. So we have two lines here. If the Earth had no atmosphere, was a simple chunk of rock in space, these two lines would be identical. Input would match output from the Earth in terms of radiation transfer. However, when we look at the graph, we're going to notice that's not the case. That we have from 35 degrees north to 35 degrees south more incoming shortwave than outgoing long wave. So an area of surplus. From 35 degrees north to 90 degrees north and 35 degrees south to 90 degrees south, we have a situation where there is more long wave than incoming short wave. So we have a deficit. This deficit exists because heat energy has been transferred from the area of surplus from the area of surplus between 35 degrees north and 35 degrees south to these areas of deficit. This movement of heat energy is done through the atmosphere and through the oceans. So the heat energy is gained as sensible heat or as heat storage in the oceans. We can call that surface heat. And there's also heat energy going into the atmosphere via latent heat, the evaporation of water. So sensible heat and latent heat are moved by atmospheric circulation from the tropics and subtropics to these higher latitudes. And the oceans transport through ocean currents surface heat, heat that is stored in the surface waters of the oceans, and it's moving from the tropics and subtropics to the higher latitudes. Surface heat flux doesn't occur on continents because land doesn't move. It's solid, but the surface of the ocean is liquid, therefore it can move around. The transfer of this heat energy through a sensible heat flux, latent heat flux, and surface heat flux cools off the tropics and subtropics. It's removing heat energy. And the heat energy is not building up at these locations. It's moving, it's being transported to the mid and higher latitudes. When the heat energy reaches the middle and high latitudes, it warms up these locations. It warms them up more than just solar insolation. So to sum this all up, atmospheric and ocean circulation move excess heat energy from the tropics to the middle and high latitudes. This heat is moved by sensible heat flux, latent heat flux, and surface heat flux. Another term that we could use for flux would be transfer. If this did not occur, the equator would be 14 degrees Celsius warmer and the poles 25 degrees Celsius cooler.